What's up, people? Episode 6 of episode 5. Wow. I was practicing that right before this, and I still messed it up. It tells you should just always have patience with yourself. You can only do what you can do. Anywho. Yeah, so episode 5 of Uncommon Conversations with one of my favorite artists right now, Jessie G. He's a lot of his songs have gotten quite a bit of attention, but the level he's at and the level of attention he's gotten so far don't really add up. So hello, sir.
What's going on, my man? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing really good, man. I'm doing really good. I'm very excited for this. This is gonna be good.
That's what's up, man.
How's the weather over there in South Carolina, right?
Yeah, man. It's actually raining today. It's been really, really hot here the past few days, and it's raining today, so I'm enjoying it being a little bit cool.
Right on, right on. Now, I went to North Carolina. I have some family out there, and it was raining all the time. Is it more rare for it to rain in South Carolina?
Some weeks it does, man, but hey, you can usually have all the seasons in one day here. So
okay.
Wake up cold, be hot, and then be cold at the end of the day. But in the summertime, it's pretty hot. It's really humid down here right now.
Okay, yeah. See, Cali's the opposite. At the beginning of the day, you know exactly the day you're gonna get, and it doesn't change, and it's gonna beat you down the whole day.
Oh yeah,
or it's gonna be great.
Out there, I was cold like at nighttime when we were out there. I think we were in 2019. We were in California, and it was cold out there at night. Like I was like mad I didn't bring a hoodie with me.
Yeah. What part were you?
We were at Seal Beach. We went to Seal Beach.
Oh, okay. There's a funny story about Seal Beach. I got the worst sunburn of my life at Seal Beach. I was out in the water for 6 hours with no sunblock. And so the water made it feel cool, but 20 minutes of being out of the water, and I was already lobstified. So
yeah, dude, it was
nice bad, dude. A week later, I was Freddy Cougar style, where it's like half brown, half white, all coming off.
Oh yeah.
And I was so itchy. I was close to murdering people. So it really worked. It all kind of worked together.
It was nice out there, man.
Yeah. I love Seal Beach. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But I was really, really stubborn with the sunblock as a teenager.
Yeah. I feel you, bro. I feel you. My mom still to this day, I'll be 29 this year. My mom's still like, put some sunblock on, just put it on. Because my mom's from California. So yeah, she's born and raised out there, so she knows. She's always like, put it on. So definitely know how it goes there, man.
My girl's the same way. She's always telling me sunblock. She's mixed, so she can get away with it, but she's more diligent with sunblock than I am. So it's kind of funny. I just wanted to share this CBD sunblock by hemp. That's the best stuff. You put it on, it feels medicinal. The second it hits your skin, you feel something. It's really dope. So for all the pale people out there, good looking out. Anywho, all right, so I want to jump right into it.
Man.
Tell us a little bit about your story in terms of where you grew up and what it was like growing up around where you grew up.
Honestly, man, I grew up in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Like I said, my mom's from out west. My dad was born in Georgia, but he was raised in Union. So they were separated before I was really old enough to know. So I would be back and forth, you know what I mean? Like I'd be in Union, then I'd be at mom's house. So I've always been around this area. So just
where's Union? I'm not familiar with.
Do what now?
Where is Union? I don't know where Union is.
Like I'm in Spartanburg. Union is probably about a 45-minute drive from me. It's out there, man. There's not much out there.
Yeah. Sounds like where I grew up. Where I grew up when I moved away, and when I was like 22, they got a Walmart. And that was the big thing.
Yeah, dude, there's Dollar Generals. Like, if you go out in the woods anywhere around here, you'll find a Dollar General, bro.
Dude, we had a 99-cent store in the same parking lot as the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, man. But yeah, dude,
with the nightclub and a liquor store in between.
Yeah, small town vibe for sure. For sure. But yeah, so always been around there, man. And then I moved to Atlanta in like 2012. And I was out there for a few years. I stayed with family out there. And then I ended up going to engineering school and all that. But yeah, man, I was in South Carolina all my life until I moved to Atlanta for a few years. And then I came back, and then I went back, and then I came back again. So I've been back in South Carolina coming up on 3 years now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the decision making in those moves?
Honestly, man, like I've been in the industry for around like 12 years, and at this point, around 12 years, and I had met somebody at the time before I went to school that was going to the school that that's my dog in the background. Uh,
No
I was
worries.
I was
My
going to
cat will be playing with stuff in the background, so you're good.
yeah, I was going to school or I had a buddy going to school, and he had told me about the school, and then I ended up like getting some sort of interest because I was always recording myself, but I didn't really know what I was doing back then. You know what I mean? And I was recording like janky software and stuff, so knowing that I could go down there and get like the proper guidance and like really learn some stuff about what I was like, loving to do, I was like, man, I think that's probably going to be the move. And lucky enough, I had family down there that I had been visiting my whole life. And she was like, come stay here with me while you're in school. And then once you graduate and stuff, then you can, we'll figure it out. Cause she ended up moving to North Carolina.
Mm.
So I lived there with her all through school. And then I stayed there after school for I think like another year. I was in Atlanta for like another year. And then she finally sold the house. And then at the time I was going to go live with an engineer, a buddy of mine, but he wasn't quite ready for it yet. So I came back home and stayed with a buddy of mine in Spartanburg. And then I ended up going back, and then I came back again. So then the second time I was down there living with my buddy, Taylor Cinnamon, like he's produced, like Give Me a Reason, that video that he mixed and mastered that. And we actually shot that music video inside of the school in Atlanta. Like they invited us to come down there and shoot it in the school. So we shot that in like the auditorium room.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome,
man,
man. Yeah, yeah.
it's fun.
You guys have, yeah, whoever you work with your music videos, they know what they're doing. They know how to capture a look and a angle, and it's good stuff, man. I eat it up. Like, yeah,
I,
it was
I
good
appreciate
stuff. Good stuff.
like
Whoever.
these days, bro, like everything, like that, the Give Me a Reason video, that was an outsource. That was actually an engineer that teaches at the school, and he's very, very good at video production. And he wanted to do something with us. He did that one, but everything, pretty much every video. There's a couple we didn't do, but like we in-house everything. Like me and my boys will shoot it, and then like we'll do the edits. Like so, we do it all.
Okay.
Like we like to do.
I wasn't. 'Cause I knew you worked with sound engineering, and I knew you were on the sound side, but I wasn't sure about the video side 100%. So that's really cool. Like I didn't even know that. So
Yeah,
yeah, good on you, man. That's
yeah,
good
it's
stuff.
fun, man.
Um,
I
have
really
you
enjoy it.
have you have you considered potentially in the future doing some kind of a workshop program where people pay you and you teach them how to do all that kind of stuff? Because there's this thing, Elliot Hulse, he's one of my original like guys I followed on the internet, and he's got a program, and one of the things is you teach people how to be like you, basically, and
Yeah,
that's what you're doing. That's the highest level of what you're charging, and so it'd have to be like a pricey program, but
yeah,
I'm just saying I would buy it. So
yeah. I kind of I do offer like a couple stuff services outside. So I'm an engineer full time as well. So I'm an artist. I just like to create. So I do a little bit of everything honestly in the industry. But like I do engineering work. I'm a chief recording engineer at Speak Life Studio in South Carolina. My boy Jordan Easler owns it. We've been working together for years. Even like we knew each other before the studio like went official and stuff. And we've been working together for a long time. And I started doing along the path with him. I started doing like distribution courses for people that are newer to the industry that don't really know how to get their music out there, like on platforms, and don't know about, royalties and publishing admin, like the stuff you need to know as an artist to get going. I started doing that. So like a form of consultation and stuff, I kind of do
mhm.
that. I probably need to strap down on it a little harder. That's one I definitely lack on that all the time. I even give myself shit on it. Like, damn, I could probably do something good with that, and I need to. I just get so caught up in everything, man. And But it's
we have both a creative and a productive side of us, and you
yeah,
gotta find the balance of feeding both, because not everything is gonna be like you work with a lot of other people, so it's not you creating your own stuff, and it's more so you just
yeah,
producing, being productive, doing your thing to apply your skills, but it's not coming from you in the
yeah,
same way, and it's cool to do both. Mine,
yeah,
for me, the lines are totally blurred with the political stuff, because it's like I don't really know how to make a distinction between my own ideas and my own ideas,
yeah,
because it's all
yeah,
just ideas in the politics world. So um, I'm just
absolutely.
happy to be here, and I'm gonna be on that note. I'm gonna be trying to self-publish a book in the next
Okay.
month on everything
That's,
politically, on the
that's
policy front.
I'll
So
definitely
yeah,
have,
it's something that 3 years ago or so I was inspired, because I had a handful of good ideas that were unique to me, and I was like, I want if I could create a book that was what I wish I had had when I turned 18 and could vote, to be like, okay, what is it? What are we dealing with here? Because it feels like that was always missing. It was always misdirection from the first get go. It's not about trying to educate you. It's about trying to keep you fighting and keeping you
yeah,
tribal. And I
absolutely.
didn't like that. So it took me like 10 years, of actually trying to figure this stuff out. But I want to offer that to other people, so that uh, my ideas don't die with me.
Yeah.
And
No, I agree. I,
also, if other people can get to my level, that sounds arrogant, but let's just say I have 60 out of 100 on the education scale. If I could get 10 other people there with me, and we could all work together, we could bring it up to a 70 or an 80 or a 90. Because
yeah,
when you can turn someone outside of you, there's going to be people that are better suited for what I'm doing than me.
yeah.
And if they can get the ideas and get on the train, and they have the skills, they can do
Yeah.
what I can't. So,
Sometimes, man, sometimes letting people do what they're good at is like that. That's like one thing I've learned. Like, it is good to know how to do. Like I tell people all the time, it's like, man, if you don't know how to do something, like I hear like people tell me like, yo, I'm struggling trying to get this video out. This guy's charging me out the wazoo and shit, and it's like, whatever the service is, and it's like I understand that, man. It's like, but sometimes, bro, like get you there, but knowing a little bit outside of that, it's helpful, but also letting people that really know how to do that job do their thing, that, it can come in handy. You know what I'm saying?
I,
For
I,
sure.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad. It got choppy on me. Could you go back 20 seconds and restate what you just said?
Yeah. I was saying, like, if it's good to focus on that one thing but also, you know, be able to kind of experiment and be good in other areas. Like, I'm an artist. Like I've been doing music for a long time, but I like to experiment and doing video stuff and stuff like that. But there's times where I know that there's a guy that is paid to do that video stuff and he's really good at it and that's what his job's for, and it's time to let him do that or whatever the case may be. So it's good to, experiment outside and try to get your hands involved in everything, but it's like you got to know when it's time to let somebody do their job. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta learn enough about those areas to be able to pick a good guy in
Exactly.
that field,
Yeah.
if you are going to outsource it. You can't just be going blind, because a lot of people get overcharged or just get messed up
Yeah.
because they don't know what's what.
If
And it's
somebody
better to get your hands in it.
Yeah, if somebody sees that you're actually really creative and they know that you're good at what you do, they might even want to team up with you and just work with you instead of being like, well, here's the invoice. You know what I'm saying? Because like if
Yeah,
you're just just that's it. You don't want to, be creative and stuff. Some people like that. Some people are like, yo, you got a dope idea. Let's just get up and see what happens. So a lot of times just being experimental, leads to networking and stuff. Like I network with people all the time I never thought I'd network with, like random businesses and stuff like that. But I mean, it helps. You know what I mean? It helps. It helps you to grow and learn new things.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so now let's get into what my wheelhouse. What was your political journey? What did that look like for you?
Okay.
Especially growing up on the East Coast, I only know West Coast and kind of central Utah, Texas kind of politics. I don't know East Coast politics very well.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I've never been extremely, extremely deep in them. I've just always kind of been like, shun against. I mean, I've got an anarchy. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah,
shun against I just, people, I don't want everybody to think I'm like some conspiracy guy, but I just see a lot of stuff as brainwash and just like control, 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 and like let me think for myself, leave me the fuck alone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and like, I'm totally against, and I've even been on the news before, and I'm still like, it's like as you start to learn and stuff, like I don't even like news channels and stuff anymore because they just propaganda, propaganda, and just cause hysteria. And I feel like these days, that's all politics do. It's just all causing hysteria. It makes people uncomfortable. People don't know what to believe, and that's why I just stay away from it. And I just speak on what I feel. And some people are just scared to say it. And I'm like, yo, I mean, it is what it is. It's a cruel world, man. And the elite are selfish people.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So what's cool is for me, why I like artists and why I identify with them a little bit is I feel like they understand people and they're
Yeah,
reflecting what they see on the people front, and so they can speak the truth in a better way than even like I can in many ways. Some of the lyrics that, for example, you or Tom McDonald have dropped
yeah,
encapsulate something in a few words that I would take hours and hours and hours to try to explain. And I'm
yeah,
like, how the hell are they coming up with this shit? But to me, great art reflects. Okay, great art can reflect many things, but most primarily for me, what I like is when it reflects truth about the human experience.
yeah, yeah,
When it's
absolutely.
when it's and it doesn't have to be a commentary; it's a reflection. But it can be a commentary too. You can, if you're a really good artist, you can take it to that next level where you're kind of going on offense a little bit,
Yeah.
um, which I appreciate too.
Everybody was tagging Tom McDonald in my stuff. Everybody, like I had multiple people tag Tom McDonald, and I can't remember the like one of the Marine rappers or something like that. I can't remember who, but I saw Tom McDonald
Topher,
in there.
yeah, yeah, Topher. It was a Topher. He did the Patriot, I think. I don't know if you've heard of that. Okay.
Possibly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah. Anyways, so what's interesting is when I first started getting into politics about 3 years in or so, I hit this wall where I started learning about the really juicy stuff, the really dirty conspiracy stuff, like the dirty underbelly of politics. And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
literally had to stop and had like a little panic attack and had to like take a year off, a year and a half off, because I was just like
yeah.
emotionally, I was like, this is such a
There's
big
stuff out
system.
there.
This is so much stuff. Like, how are you going to get your head around this? And
Yeah,
um,
like it even no matter what it is and what lane, if you give people facts and they have been raised on beliefs that they've been told since they was a child, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you're raised from a baby being told something from your family, and it's just like you're gonna believe it growing up. And even if you do get the facts, true hard facts put in front of you, sometimes when people's minds are set, they just will not choose to leave what they believe just because of pride and stuff. Like, nah, I can't believe that. Even if you're showing the, and that's kind of how it is. Like, there's stuff starting to surface in this on this planet, and people are like, nah, even though y'all got cold hard facts, like I can't believe it. And it's just like people act so oblivious, and like a lot of the answers are right in front of them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what kind of like I get aggravated with it. Like I'm like sometimes I'm like, are y'all for real? Like y'all really believe this shit that they're saying right now in the news or like whatever it is? You know what I mean? I get so frustrated that people can become so gullible, and it's just like, bro, open your eyes. Like, come on, dude. You know what I
yeah,
mean? We are
yeah,
ants. We are ants in an ant farm, and they are the professors with a magnifying glass, and that's just how it is. And it's been a long time in coming before people even really have decided to acknowledge that, and still people don't really want to acknowledge that. But it is what it is.
yeah. I totally follow with you on the media front. Like once I started really parsing out the difference between the fluff and the sensationalism and the concrete like substance, and
Yeah,
started trying to measure the two, I realized like most of it was just fluff, and like most of what I was listening to wasn't worth my time. And
yeah,
and you're better off like just sitting back thinking about kind of a basic issue and going and looking up some data on your own about it. Like who like uh no, I was gonna take it a little bit dark, but I'll pull back from that for a second. but we'll just say certain crimes are not sufficiently prosecuted. And when I looked up those certain crimes that are really disgusting and saw how like an attempted, I'll just say it, an attempted rape on the federal level gets 2 years.
That's insane. That's
That made me
insane.
sick to my stomach. It makes me sick to my stomach now, but it made me sick to my stomach when I first read that. I was like, are you really? Really?
Hey,
This is the truth in front of me right now.
Surprised what money does, man. You'd be surprised what money does.
Yeah.
Like
Money
that's
buys
all.
power, and power likes to sell it. The best commodity, the most valued commodity on the planet outside of human beings is power. And so power goes to the highest bidder, and the best politicians are the ones who keep you sold on everything you think is going on right now and like touch your heart and then sell you out in the background still. Like
Yeah,
straight sociopath stuff.
yeah.
Uh,
I say it time after time after time, and dude, the government doesn't give a shit about you. Like, they don't like they don't
it's a
give.
job, bro. That's the best thing I ever heard about it. It's a job, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
some politician was like in some backdoor kind of conversation was just like, you just say what you got to say, and it's a job, dude. It pays
yeah.
well.
Say what you believe, man. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a crazy concept to think in the political world, like people actually saying what they think is a rare thing.
Yeah,
In freedom of speech America, most of
yeah.
them are, they get their talking points, and the most nefarious stuff is what they won't talk about. As an example, Project Veritas, I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Uh-uh.
I can't remember his name, but anyways, that's the YouTube channel. He did, there was an ABC News clip. It was a hot mic clip after the cameras were done rolling, where the reporter in 2016 was talking about, or no, the reporter was talking about this in 2019, that she had the Jeffrey Epstein story in 2016, and she had a girl
I
named
saw.
Maria Farmer.
I've
Yeah,
seen
she
it.
had a girl named Maria Farmer who was there and was talking about it. And when I heard, because my last name's Farmer, when I heard Maria Farmer, it registered a little different to me. It was like that could be a cousin, that could be
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, like that put a constitution and like a ferocity underneath me to be like, these enemies need to be fought.
Dude, there's a lot of bad going on out there, man, and money is definitely the reason behind why a lot of it gets away. And I mean, it really does.
Yeah. And people don't understand total government spending before the pandemic in the United States was $7 trillion.
Dude, I've heard that we have printed 30% of our currency in 2020. We
Yeah.
printed we printed more money in 2020 than we have since like ever. That
Yeah.
is like mind-boggling, bro.
Yeah.
That is insane to me. That is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was, and the thing is, like, that everything that was done last year, like they used expensive tools, I'll say. They wasted some money in the process.
Yeah.
But if they didn't do what they did, you're looking at 50% of GDP being gone. Like you're looking at us getting put back into the 1970s, like that, like it would have been way worse, way
There's no
worse. So it's like, and it's
telling.
it's because of the power grab. When you tell people don't go be a capitalist, shut the economy down, like that's literally what they told people to do. Don't go to work, don't produce, don't go shop, don't go consume, don't
Yeah.
invest,
Yeah.
in any real way, like with equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That directly shuts down economic activity. So, and the thing is, it's like a fire. If you take half the fuel away, you're not going to get back to the same flame,
Yeah. No,
unless you kind of beef it up with gasoline and stuff.
like
That metaphor kind of works on that front.
it's like rebuilding the economy all over again.
Yeah, yeah. But luckily, we still were under. We had advantages under the 2017 tax bill that like made investing in the United States still more worthwhile than a lot of other countries. So once the right states started pulling back the restrictions, and once the economy could start to come back, we had record-breaking recovery. We like produced 9 million jobs in 3 months, and prior to that, like 270,000 was a gangbuster month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are coming back, but it's going to look different.
Yeah.
The centralized elites, unfortunately, are going to have a much bigger chunk of the pie, and
Oh,
the small businesses are going to have to work their way back up because they literally got. There's a Harvard study that said that the middle class and small businesses just got flattened by the
yeah.
lockdowns. It was like the direct result of the lockdowns, like measurably.
Yeah, dude, like, cause I support small businesses all day. I am a small business. I have I work with a small business. Like, I'm fighting for them, bro. Like all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? I totally. I hope everything bounces back, right? Because there are some businesses out there that suffered and really, like, closed up. And you see it. Like, a lot of people saw it, like driving around after the pandemic, during, seeing people close up and stuff like that. It affected a lot of people, So.
Yeah, yeah, and California and New Jersey and New York are pretty much the ones bringing our numbers down. The rest of the country is doing okay.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as you think, but the areas where it's bad, it's. I'm in Cali, so I know
Oh,
what it's like.
I'm sure it's been pretty tough out there. So I've heard, because, like, I mean, people are reckless. Like, during the COVID out here, you go outside and in some spots, like, you wouldn't even think, because people are just going out acting like nothing's wrong and stuff. So, but country bumpkins living in a hole in the wall. You can't really tell people what to do when they haven't really been around. I guess you'd say people telling them what to do their whole life. They just kind of do their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely more that like independent, anti-government sort of sentiment. The more independent in the boonies you are,
You're
and
not
the more in the city you are, like
to the South
like
taking
being
our
in
guns.
the city. What?
I said, you're not coming to the South taking everybody's guns here. They're not gonna like that.
No, no, no. That won't work. That won't work at all. Yeah,
No,
yeah. Any kind of yeah. If they make any serious kind of a Second Amendment infringement, that's the reset button, in
yeah,
my opinion. Like people don't understand. You got millions and millions and millions of ex-veterans. You got million or probably tens of thousands of special operations forces that are all still buddies with each other and
yeah.
know what the Constitution's about. So they won't. I have confidence in that they will never cross that line because that's a reset button.
Yeah, nah, I agree, man. I agree.
So yeah. So my political journey was I grew up kind of more conservative, but like so my mom was a Democrat and had worked with police, so she knew they weren't all about it really. They were about it in certain areas, but there were a lot of issues because she was a rape response advocate. So she
Okay.
worked with the rape units and like understood how cops would be judgmental, and there's a little bit of a boys club thing sometimes going on. So
Yeah. My mom.
I got a lot of good insights. And my mom also worked for the state. She went to committees in Sacramento, and
Yeah.
she saw like $12,000 desks and stuff like that, and vacations being paid so they can talk about solving problems. And so I grew up very woke in that sense. I knew what government was all about
Well,
before I even knew politics. I knew those things.
yeah, my
And
mom was a cop. So I grew up how old was I? I mean, I was young. I was like 10. My mom was married to a cop for years, and they ended up having a divorce. And just ever since, like, I was a kid then, I've always just had bad experiences around police. I've
yeah,
never really experiences ever in my life, not once. So that's kind of why I've always been, I have bad taste in my mouth, and we just kind of stay distant. So staying woke, I guess you would say, would be the right, what I call it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's that I hate when the left has stolen terminology because being woke, like it's a great phrase to say you know what's actually up, but now it also means like the transgenders can never be offended in any conversation ever.
Oh man, but no, I mean, I agree, because it's with everybody grows up in a different situation. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like a lot of that stems from that, because what you're taught growing up in the household that you're growing affects how you see life. You know what I mean? So
That's
I grew
that's your foundation. That's your base.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I grew up in this, but somebody else might have grew up in a house where all they know is police, and it's been great around them their whole life. And that's just how it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what people don't understand. Like, everybody has a different life. Everybody's gonna have a different situation. Everybody's gonna have different opinions and stuff. And it's like, that's okay. You know what I mean? And people don't like, what? You don't think the same as me? And it's like, dude, you can't be that way. You know what I mean? Because you're not the same person. You don't think the same. You're not the same. and everybody's going to stem from something different and have a different situation. I might have had that situation. It might be all fun and daisies for you. You know what I mean? And you might want to be a police officer, but for me, it's not my cup of tea. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, my experience has been I've seen a little bit of both sides. So like there's good guys doing good things, actually trying to, fight crime and handle that stuff in the police force. And also you got to understand there's sheriffs, there's police, there's special squad units. So like we talk about it like it's all one thing, but they do different functions. Like all the people coming and stealing the people's money with fines on tickets and stuff, they can all be fired tomorrow. All those people can go away tomorrow. We don't need them coming and stealing $200 from a guy because he smoked weed or whatever, you know?
yeah, yeah. That's the shit that aggravates me. It's like when you see that, like how legal it is and how it's so different and stuff in the world today. And then you see like these cops post on their Facebook, they've got like 3 ounces on a table with like a little bowl pack, and they're like, "Yo, we clean the streets up." And I'm like, "Did you really? Did you clean? Did you do that?" And it's like, really, there's people out here selling heroin. You got kids doing like, that's a problem. Stuff like that. Those type of drugs are a problem. I mean, obviously, it's like that kind of stuff that's what's funny to me is when I see stuff like that. And I'm just like, like what can you do? You know what I mean? Like, just,
yeah. Like we all know we got rapists. We literally know that we have, if you Google it or do the little search thing, you'll find 8 sex offenders in a 3-block radius of your house.
Yeah.
But hey, even the crackheads should be let off before you handle that shit,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I totally agree. Like, you got men in jail for life over a weed sentence, and then you got some rich kid's son out here raping some girl in a parking lot.
Some Hunter Biden type.
And then, yeah, dude, and then they're like, it'd be all right, and they give him a little slap on the wrist, and it's just like if it doesn't show you that the system and money behind power, it just shows you, I mean, it's all the systems. I mean, you see my song. I've got a song from years ago. That was 5 years ago. It's called "Fuck the System." I've always felt that way. The system's fucked up. It is.
Yeah. It was funny because like a bunch of rappers and stuff, I know have become political or turned political. Some of them are kind of start from the beginning. Like you said, you're kind of apolitical in a way, but also you were like fucking right on the money politically too. And when I first started listening, because I heard Third Eye, just a little clip of it through an Instagram story, and I was like, ooh, this sounds good. I was like, this is good stuff. And so I went and checked it out, and then I saw Fuck the System, and it was like 5 years ago, and I was like, okay, this dude knew what was up a while ago. You started off, put Rothschild on the phone. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this boy knows what's up. Anywho, so we'll get, this is a great transition point because I wanted to talk about, we talked about your business, your politics, your story. Now we're going to talk about the Illuminati and conspiracy theories. So those terms to me, and with Illuminati, I realized this a while ago, and with conspiracy theory, it's something that I kind of learned in the last year. Illuminati was like a term where it's like, okay, if it means sacrificing small goats on the back of the White House lawn, probably not happening. But if it means a rich, powerful elite that are insulated and isolated from the rest of the population that are acting like a cartel and negotiating and planning things behind closed doors, to think that's not real is insane.
Yeah.
But the same term creates that little trap where you're like, oh, this is nonsense, but it's like the most obvious thing at the same time.
See, that's kind of where, like, when people talk about Illuminati, because, like, I remember back when, like, I first started rapping, like, I mean, back in the day, like, when I first started rapping, like, when rap was, like, what people made music to do instead of just trying to make hits. That term was thrown around a lot. Like, I used to see that a lot. Like, I remember, like, Instagram accounts, like, that was a big thing. And it's like, the more that you do look into those areas and stuff, how you were talking about the elite, that's kind of, if it is something, that's what I would see it as, is some form of just elite or something like that. But the stories and stuff, like you're saying, the goat and all that, like it makes you it definitely makes you go and then, like, I've watched this thing, since you're talking about conspiracies, I was watching an interview with it was a man that was in like the FBI for like 15 years. And he came out and he was saying that, and don't quote me on this. I don't know if this is true or what, but he was saying that at some point that it was like the CIA or something had created the word conspiracy just so when people ask questions, they would be like, "No, that's a conspiracy. That's fairy tale." And so I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, like, with the way the
So
government is, like, who knows? Who
so
knows?
so so Jesse, right? I could just call you Jesse, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um so if you get any facts slightly wrong, I'm gonna jump down your throat, so you better watch it. Um anyways, Eric Weinstein, who's a great I mean, he's a physicist, he's an economist, he's just a super genius. He's the smartest, like highest IQ person I've ever come across. Look into
yeah,
him. Just trying to listen to him is very strenuous.
yeah,
uh,
yeah,
anyways, he put me onto that conspiracy was used as a tool to try to limit thought, because words are our way of categorizing ideas, and so if you can create word traps, and that's why not using the language of the modern left is important, because those word traps are meant to control you and to make and control your thoughts, because we work out ideas by talking, and so it's all intertwined there. um and Yeah, so there's a program, I think it's called COINTELPRO, like coin and then TELPRO. And it was a program by the FBI to infiltrate like the Black Panther Party and stuff, and to get in on the protests and to create violent acts, to then create the riot narrative, to then to create a negative sentiment towards the movement. And then you now have the left that like chooses stupid slogans like Black Lives Matter instead of All Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter too. Like anything else would have been better, and they specifically chose the divisive one because it's a tool to divide people. No one thinks that cops should be able to abuse any citizen, and definitely no one thinks that they should be able to do it for racist reasons. Like
yeah,
no one you ask those two questions is going to disagree with you. But
yeah,
again, you use the right language and you can keep people fighting.
yeah. I see what
You know, there's
yeah,
people that think that all lives matter is a racist slogan. I was told that my use of all lives matter in the past, like 4 years ago, by a friend of mine who I considered very educated, and he is educated and very smart. He told me that that was basically being a cuckold for white supremacy. And I was like,
I've seen like, and like the internet, that like that's why I never really like talk, like I don't get involved because people take things so left and right. Like you can say one thing and somebody turns around makes out the other. So I just always like show any kind of support to whoever I can. You know what I mean, in any way. Just
that we
there's
should
that.
make it about individuals and about policy. And if we can make it about those two things, we can get around the tribal. Humans are tribal, so you got to work at becoming non-tribal with the way you think, the way you act, the way you talk. And
Yeah,
it's very hard. I'm 10 years in of really trying, and I don't always do a good job. I am definitely more anti-left today than I am anti-right, just because I think like there's something I call like the center of gravity for rational discussion. Like
yeah,
in the late 90s under Bill Clinton, and like with George Bush getting us into the two wars in the Middle East, I would have been centered, like allied with the left and saying these things are wrong. We need to be fighting these. So I'd say it would have been on the left at that point. But now I feel like the left is becoming totalitarian, and that's like the most anti-American philosophy, period, is totalitarianism. It's like we're supposed to be free from government, not controlled by it. And
yeah,
they want to say, well, in the name of compassion, let us control you,
yeah.
In the name of looking
That's
out for granny,
why
let us force vaccinate your children.
like like if I was ever approached by any type of, from either side, from any type of whatsoever political, if anything ever approached me and asked me, I would be like, fuck y'all. Like I'm not, no political stuff. I don't like being, you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't do it, man. Like it's all for the wrong reasons to me. And like I said in the beginning, it's hysteria to me. Like I feel like politics just drive people crazy, man. Like they really do.
and
And
a lot of the leadership is inauthentic. A lot of the leadership is inauthentic. They're trying, they're playing the part.
You know, I mean, like it just does nothing but cause hate towards each other, and everybody just mad at the wrong people when they need to be mad at the fuckers doing it to you. You know what I mean? It's like it
So
just
I'm as capitalist gets. I love people getting out there and being able to do whatever they want to do to make their living and be able to have the full breadth of creating new industries and everything. Like there's a lot of beautiful aspects to it. And
yeah,
I'm friends with a bunch of communists on Instagram. And one of them shared this thing and it said, it's not the left versus the right. It's the 90% on the bottom versus the 10% on the top. And I
yeah,
shared it and I was like, this dude knows what's up. Like,
yeah,
and my belief, my core belief before I got into politics was that most people agree on most issues, meaning no one wants a bad economy. No one wants criminals running the streets. No one wants, rapists on the streets. They want them behind bars. Uh, no one wants us giving money to countries unless they're doing good things with it or at all, even. Um, and we can get into more things like climate change. Like people don't want industry to be unnecessarily destroyed. Like you don't want to shut down businesses for no good reason, but we want to take care of the environment. And so you got to find the right balance. And like a lot of those things are common sense, and most people would fundamentally kind of agree. They're like, you got this and you got that. And the issue with politics is it's like this side has a partial truth and this side has a partial truth. And unless you're actually looking at it from a moderate perspective and saying, how do I integrate them? You're not going to necessarily get at the solutions necessarily. Like as an example, you have the free market healthcare, advocates, and then you have the socialized healthcare advocates. The correct criticism of the free market is if you don't have money, you don't get access. And the correct criticism of the other system is that it controls things to such a degree that it actually makes the product worse, makes it more expensive, and people don't actually get it. If you have the government putting out money, it's going to create a lot of corruption. You have a bunch of jobs created to try to facilitate all the details, and it wastes a bunch of money. If you had a system where every person got $2,500 in their bank account as a stipend towards healthcare, the people get the money, the people have the control, there's no government offices, the free market's still operating, but the people have the resources they need. And that's a universal health savings account, right? That's a great example of like a moderate hybrid system that solves both problems, maintains the good of both, and can actually, I think, be sold to most people as reasonable. And so there's a bunch of policies like that, like or policies where it's actually you got to think outside the box. Like we like to argue the left likes progressive taxes, the right tends to like a flat tax. But there's a third category of regressive taxes that tax the poor at a higher percentage of their income than the rich. And we don't even talk about that. And those are sales taxes, gas taxes, cigarette taxes, all that kind of stuff. Because like poor person pays $1, rich person pays $1. It's not the same percentage of their income, right? And that raises cost of living. So like if gas taxes, for example, it's like 18 cents on the federal level. If that adds up over the year to where you can't really afford to commute, then you're not going to be able to have the luxury of a car. So it's literally robbing people of a certain standard of life by increasing the costs. But unless you're willing to look completely outside the box, like most people don't even sort of think along those terms, or like it's not discussed at least, And that was just me kind of being like, okay, you got this category and then this sort of flat. And then I sort of just took the concept the other direction. I was like, what would that look like? And then I started piecing it together, and it's like property taxes and luxury taxes and all kinds of stuff. And it's just a way to divert tax revenue from the rich towards the poor. That's fundamentally what is the driving factor behind it.
It's a rabbit hole, bro. It really is, man.
Yeah. What I like, because what you were talking about is, you said we're the ant farm and they're the professor or whatever with the thing.
Yeah.
If the ant farm can figure out how to get a mirror,
yeah,
and that's what I'm trying to do. If we could show the beast and show their tricks, and so like one of the sections in my book is going to be reverse engineering the media, because a lot of it is rhetorical tricks, and you got to start analyzing first like substance versus not, but then you also got to think about like one of them is just if it doesn't make sense to me, they might be trying to trick me. Because there's a lot of moments where I listen to a Ben Shapiro or even an Andrew Klavan, and I feel like they're very, very, very educated, well-informed people. So like they're good substance on the substance side, but they're conservative and they have their bent. And once in a while, when I about 3 months into listening to them, I started to really pick up on, oh, I see the little trick he played there. Oh, I see the little trick he played there. And what I'm going to do to a degree going forward is when I see those, make a little video of it and then make my critique of it to try to point out what those tricks are. Because it's better to see it that way, I think. But we can get a grasp of what this system is that's holding us down, and we can, because it's all about two things at the end of the day: policy and the voters. And so I don't like to remove like with its bad cops or corrupt politicians or whatever. We voted them in. We voted in the assholes that created these policies, and so it's up to us to change it. And to think of it in any other terms is to give up and be a cynic, or is to not understand your own power. Because we do, like, the system still works, even though they have some sketchy security stuff going on with voting and everything. You can't fix 90% of the population voting on a certain issue. And we have petitions, so you can get enough signatures from citizens to put a law on the state election so that we can vote in laws as the people. So we can circumvent the political system entirely, and whoever votes against those people's initiatives, we vote out. Because those are the people that will fundamentally disagree with the people's opinion. So, and I learned that at 17 when I was circulating petitions. I realized, like, the people have this ability. If we knew what we had to do and we could get coordinated to do it, and social media is a great tool for that, especially the free social media platforms. We could make it happen.
You just send them third eye. Just send them third eye.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure. Send that on fast text worldwide.
Yep. Just hack everything and play it. Yep. Yeah, that one in particular, I was like, okay, this, bro, once you said adrenochrome, I was, my brain started going. I was like, this dude's. When you literally will say a word that other people refuse to say, you earn respect in my eyes. You earn a lot of respect in my eyes, and that one got it for me. So you're good. So my thoughts on what systemic racism right now mostly consists of is a systemic classism, where it's around 1970, a bunch of anti-poor people policies were instituted. And at that time, the Black community was disproportionately poor. And so those policies enveloped them. And one of the main metrics to understand, like, how this shifted the Black community and controlled them is the single parenthood rate in the Black community. It went from 25% single parent families to like 70% from 1960 to 1990. And the way it works is, like, if the government can get you separated from the two-parent investment in you, you're much more dependent as a person. You got less investment as a child from the two parents, in the ideal scenario. I understand my mom was a single mom and she was way better than my parents together. So I understand that exists, but the evidence shows that less parental investment is not ideal compared to more parental investment, in the ideal scenario. And so if they can get you to where it's a single income, so you're going to be poor, most likely. You got to get Section 8 housing. So you're going to go to the bad area. So your kid's going to go to the bad school. And in the bad area, there's both a lot of violence and abuse and low economic opportunity, because businesses don't want to go invest where they might get shot doing business. You know what I'm saying? So you have the education system, you have the welfare system, you have and then you have the incarceration system, which tries to target, young adolescents, males that are kind of screwing around. And as a young man, you want to be productive, and you will either, Ben Shapiro said this and it was brilliant, you will either create or destroy as a man. Like, you're either going to be doing one or the other. And a lot of men go the other route because they don't understand their role as a protector as men, we're stronger on average than women. So we are literally the defensive advocates for the weak and the oppressed. Men have to take that role as a protector. If we don't, we go down some really evil roads. And anywho, So you have basically a system that is trapping people in dysfunction by saying, we'll take care of you if you're hurting, but if you start to do better for yourself, that money goes away faster than it came. And so tons of people get trapped in that kind of a scenario. Plus, if you have low economic opportunity, you don't even have the option of bettering yourself. And then if you have a criminal record, that works against you more. So it all feeds into the system. And it's not about race, but it overlaps disproportionately with race. But if you look at the white community, it went from about 25% to like 37% in that same time period for single parenthood. The Hispanic community, it went a little bit less. They're a little bit more tight with the family. They started at 23, went to like 33 or something. And so you see it, depending on the poverty of the community, it hit them harder. So,
Man, you know
and
your
in
stuff,
my,
you know your stuff, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was,
I don't even know that far down that rabbit hole, man. So some of this stuff is just like all new to me.
so my book should be called The Rabbit Hole.
It's good.
Because, but the point of it is to actually illuminate everything so that we can see the path forward, not so much get stuck down in the weeds of the disagreements and stuff. But yeah, I approached politics with the simple goal of understanding.
Yeah.
And I have a good mind. I know I'm not stupid. And I was not academically inclined, but I knew that I could talk to academic people and learn from them pretty quickly. So I started approaching politics as, let me find the smartest professors I can find in economics and everyone and listen to them. And eventually I had faith that I could understand it and kind of grasp it. And at a certain point in 2018, I had things that I could say and comment on the world and policies that nobody else was saying. And that's what got me into the game. I was a car detailer when this was all happening. Okay. I've never had a desire for public attention. I was never the kid. Like, I was the kid that went home and played video games and listened to YouTube videos and, you know, I like to learn about deep concepts and ideas and religion and philosophy and stuff. But it was never really with a goal of a career. It was just like, if I could have a security job where I could listen to stuff all day, or if I could have a car detailing job where I could listen to stuff all day, I love that over having slightly more money in a more stressful job that takes your attention. And 3 years of doing the car detailing with that kind of listening to lectures, literally 7 or 8 hours a day, podcasts 7, 8 hours a day, got me to where I am now, and got me to where I was at least intellectually prepared. And then from 2018 to now, it was about getting myself mentally prepared, because the kind of person that can deliver all of this information is very different than someone who just knows this information. And I had to make that transformation internally, and now I'm here.
That's
so.
Well, I'll definitely check out that book, man, because it sounds like there's going to be a lot of stuff in it for sure.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff. What are your religious views, if any, growing up and now?
Okay, when I was a kid, or let's just say, I grew up in a Christian family. I used to be at church all the time. As I got older, I think it's just the more I started like just looking and learning and stuff, it was just more so confusion for me. So I've never really known exactly where I've been, but I do believe in in a higher power of some sort, but I just don't know exactly like what it is. So I think I've just kind of been confused my whole life, and I tell people that all the time. Like, my mom knows I'm confused. I've just been confused, and that I just I don't know.
All right. So I was a true believer. My grandpa was a pastor. I was a Southern Baptist Christian, and then a non-denominational Christian until I was 18. And then I came across information that maybe told me that historically the Bible wasn't 100% accurate. And it ended up being false. But that plus my sort of political revelation on marijuana, I used to think of it as heroin. Like in my mind, I was straight edge in high school, so I just didn't touch drugs. I had addicts in my family, so I stuck to the path to be safe. And so the revelation of, no, it can actually help people, and actually, as it turns out, it's helped me quite a bit. That got me on the path of independent thinking, and So I questioned my faith. And then Jordan Peterson was able to basically frame God in an intellectual way that made me comfortable with the idea of having faith in a God and having a way to try to understand what he would want me to do on this planet. And the best way to understand it is this: there's a structure to the material world of the universe, and there's a structure to the nature of human beings. We are biological in nature, so we have a long-term nature, and so there's an ideal way to live as a human being that's kind of universal. Yeah. And that is God's will for us, essentially. And so to discover what that is, that ultimate truth of how to be as a human being in the universal sense, is the truth that God has been giving to us through various sacred texts. And those texts are the manuals for the truth. Like a manual for a car reflects the car, but it's not the car. And if you have a manual, you ain't got shit. Yeah. The truth is the truth, and those texts are a reflection of the truth. And if you just have the text and the rigid rules, but you don't have the truth, you ain't got shit.
I see exactly what you're saying. No, I see what you're saying. I agree.
And Jordan Peterson's lectures are worth looking into to be able to really, if you can follow it. He's again one of these guys so smart. You're gonna have to probably take it in bits. I listened to him 3, 4, 5 times over because I have ADD a little bit, so I can, like, if I'm too strained, I just start thinking about other things. And then I plug back in and he's talking about feminism. And I'm like, all right, now I'm starting listening again. Especially car detailing. You're like, oh, this little spot. And then you stop, Play-Doh goes away when you're thinking about the little spot. So I listened to him a few times over and that helps. And I'm not stupid, and he's very difficult for me to listen to. So don't. I tried having my dad listen to him, and he was like, "Dude, this is intense. I don't know if I could do this." So yeah. But he has podcasts too, and that's probably more Jordan Peterson podcast, probably more digestible.
Okay.
But I like his lecture series, the psychological significance of the biblical stories. That is the series that got me to that intellectual frame of faith.
Got you. I'll have to check that out, man. I'll definitely check
it out. And then the final point on our interview was, and this will be for the next one, whenever we do it again, in a month or 2 months, whatever you want, you can ask me anything, and I'll answer. If you have any policy questions, any life questions, any me questions, any whatever questions, you do that. And then anything else we can just talk about and plan ahead of time in terms of other topics, life things or whatever, or current events and stuff,
Yeah, and today my main question, you've already answered it for me. I was just gonna ask if you how you got into doing like what you're doing with the news and giving information, but I mean you've given me a full. That's dope, man. How you came to do that? Are you planning on starting an actual podcast company or anything out of moderate? It's modern media, moderate news.
Yeah. The plan is so there's going to be the Farmer Family Hour, which is going to be the family-friendly version of what I do. No cuss words, no dirty topics or anything like that. I don't like to talk about dirty topics, but there's dark topics I would say that I'm going to avoid. And that'll be on Rumble, which is like an alternative YouTube, exclusive to that platform. And then I'm doing this Uncommon Conversations on Instagram. It's going to be an Instagram exclusive podcast in its full form, but clips will go to other places. And then I'm going to start doing, so I don't know if you like to smoke weed, but I like to smoke weed. And so I want to start doing a podcast eventually called The Stoner Report, and where it's just a bunch of people get together and hang out and smoke and talk about the shit going on, whatever. And that one, when I start doing that, that will be behind a paywall, $3 a month or something like that. I don't want to, go crazy, but that and my book will be basically the two things that'll be charged for, and everything else is just going to be free. Random, I like popping into random Instagram lives and stuff. So if any of my followers pop up, and they're discussing something interesting, I'll jump in. So my goal is, so I'm a big fan of Dan Pena, and he talks about 120-hour work weeks, which is kind of, it's insane. It's an insane grind, but whatever my maximum level of productivity is, that I can balance with time with my girl and my family and the things that I love outside of politics. I'm in this game for life. I feel like I found my path, and there's no plan B. There's just, alternative sources of income to fund plan A,
Yeah, yeah,
Because
that's the goal. That is the goal. And yeah, you said it rightly, man. All the other ones are to fuel that one thing, man. I'm actually reading a book right now called The One Thing, and my partner, Jordan at the studio, he's put me on it. And I just started it because this past month I've been going on vacations left and right, trying to get it out of my system before the summer ends. But I'm actually trying to get back into it and finish reading it. I'll have to send it over to you and show you what I can't remember the author off the top of my head, but it's called The One Thing.
nice, nice. If you want tips and tricks for productivity, there's a book called Atomic Habits.
I
Um,
finished, already finished it.
okay, yeah, yeah, all right, you're good
Is it
then.
right?
Well,
Is it right?
anyone watching, go check that out. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
James,
So
it's James Clear, correct?
yeah, yeah, James Clear, yeah,
Awesome book. Great book. Go grab it right now. It's on Amazon
yeah,
for like $12.
yep, yep, yep. It's great, great. All right, you have a good one, brother.
All right, man. I'll see you soon, man. Have a
We'll
good
see
one.
you. You too. All right, comments are coming back on. We'll see what you guys want to say. Did you guys enjoy that? Was that good? Any questions? Thank you, Italian ex churro. I really like your tag name. You know, I feel like it's one letter off from perfection. Um, Mint Grove. All right. Yeah. Cool. All right. Um, I'm glad you guys liked it. That's cool. I didn't think you guys would both be watching. That's cool. Those are my brothers. For people who don't know, T Life on the go. All right. I'm gonna go. I love you guys. Talk to you later.